Hello everyone, this is Gage from Gondorian Smith, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys another 3rd Age Reforged online multiplayer battle replay. And this one was done, as always, on the 0.95 patch. And this was actually, unfortunately, I wanted to get a bigger battle, but unfortunately I could only do a 2 versus 2. That's kind of the max I can do as of now because of my internet issues. And unfortunately, instead of the internet people coming tomorrow, which would be Thursday like they had originally planned, they're not going to be able to get here until Tuesday, so I am sorry about that, but there's really not much I can do about it. So without any further ado, we'll go ahead and begin with the army compositions, starting off with my own. So I am playing my favorite Elven faction, that being the Realm of Lothlorien. I've got 2 units of the Sylvan Staff Masters on either flank, and these guys look spectacular with their armor upgrade. This is how they look with their armor upgrade. The standard look that they used to have with like the kind of like tan colored clothing on is still there. But if you want them to look like this, then you have to give them the 1 armor upgrade. So they cost 575 florins without any upgrades at all, but these ones did cost me 600 because of the armor upgrade. They are a nice unit to slow down the tides of enemies that will be coming towards you when playing as the elves. And they also are AP, and actually, even though they are lightly armored and do not have shields or very good armor, they actually do have a small bonus against arrows, like they can kind of like juke them, I guess, something like that. But that's kind of at least how I think how they are actually figured out. But anyway, over here I've also got 1 unit of my Edil-tirith and 1 unit of my Maethar Elasgalen. I've got 2 units of Maethar Elasgalen, which is just a javelin unit. Once they are out of javelins, they do pull out a spear. You can see they also have a nice shield, which can protect them against arrows. However, like all Elven units, they can get skirmished down regardless of their shield, at least somewhat easily, especially if they're getting shot in the back. Then again, it's because their shield won't be helping them at all if they're getting shot in the back. Now, I actually have 3 total units of Edil-tirith, and the reason why I brought these guys instead of something like the standard like Lorien archers is because, first of all, the Lorien archers are very expensive and they are capped at 2. And the Edil-tirith are actually a body piercing, so they're BP, which is actually very surprising to me, but it makes them very cost effective because they're only like 600 florins with like 6 missile damage or something like that. They can be a very, very good, however, as you can tell, they are very lightly armored, so pretty much any skirmish fire at all can just drop them pretty much instantaneously. So my main line over here of infantry consists of 3 units of the Lorien axe. I think they've got like 12 attack, 27-ish defense. Pretty nice skill too. They are 1-hit axes, but they are not AP. Over here you can see my other unit of Lorien axes, some more Maethar Elasgalen, and another unit of Edil-tirith. Behind my Lorien axes, I've got 3 units of Lorien warriors who are AP shock infantry, less skillful than the other Elven units, however, because of their 2-handed axes, they are AP, which will be a very good help to, which will be a very great help to me, as you will see when you notice who my enemy is. Over here I've got my 3rd and final unit of Edil-tirith, and you can probably notice that my entire army is hiding, and I kind of have this formation set up because I kind of wanted to hide the whole, not really the whole game, but I kind of wanted to hide and kind of just wait until the enemy marched towards me, because then I'd be able to just absolutely pepper him down with arrows and javelins from the flanks while my infantry held the line. But anyway, sorry about all the trees, but again, there's not really much I can do about that. Anyway, over here I've got my 2 units of Lorien mounted company. Now, one of the things that Lothlorien does actually lack is cavalry. They can only ever bring a max of 3. 2 of them being these Lorien mounted company, and the 3rd and final unit of cavalry that they could bring is a unit of horse archers, which is right over here, which is where my general is, that being the Galadrim Riders. Also, something to note about the Lorien cavalry is it is all very expensive. The Galadrim Riders are 1100 florins, they're a horse archer unit. They do not have lances or anything like that when they do go into melee. They have a sword instead. They are not AP off the charge, but their charge is not horrible, especially against lower tier units. However, the Lorien mounted company are lancers, of course, with the shields. They're sometimes, well, they're relatively hard to skirmish on, but not really. I have noticed that these guys can get skirmished on by a lot of different types of archer units, but that is because all elves are relatively lightly armored. So they are kind of a glass cannon. You have to be very careful with them, and make sure you stay out of range of any archers, and definitely out of range of any javelins. However, being lances, they are AP off the charge, and you will see them get some nice charges off in this battle. So that pretty much does it for my army comp. We'll go ahead now and to go over to my ally, who's way over here. Also, if you wanted to know, this map is, I believe, called I think it's called Root Hour. It's just like a kind of field map. But anyway, my ally is Donovan, commanding the army of Isengard. He's got 2 units of half-orc Vanguard, which is an AP shock infantry unit, lightly armored, and can get skirmished out very easily. Over here he's got his only skirmishing forces, that being 2 units of Uruk-hai archers. with their stakes deployed as well. Behind them, or behind the Vanguard, he's got 2 units of Uruk-hai pikemen, and behind them he's got his, oh, I thought it was his general's unit, but no, he's got one of the champions of the White Hand, who are very, very good at taking out enemy cavalry. They can pretty much go head-to-head with any elite cavalry unit in the game, with some exceptions, of course. And behind them he's got his other unit of cavalry, that being some Warg Riders. He also does have a couple hidden units of Uruk-hai, just standard infantry. They are actually quite expensive, and they are low in numbers. However, because they actually kind of are more like a human faction infantry unit, the Uruk-hai infantry, because they actually have 9 attack and 20 defense. And the 9 attack for a standard sword and shield unit like that is actually very high, but that is kind of what makes them so expensive. So he's got a couple units of them hidden around here, as well as 2 units, I believe, of, yeah, Uruk-hai Berserkers. You can, well, you can't see them, but you can see the name of them right there. He's got 2 units of hidden Uruk-hai Berserkers. Now, they actually are capped at 1. So I actually didn't notice until after, when I was re-looking at this replay, that he actually did bring 2 instead of 1. Now, the first one is expensive regardless. It's 1,100 florins. But the second one, with the price increase, would have cost him 2,600 florins. So that is why he does have a rather small army. And it's going to be quite difficult for him, I think, to face down his enemy. Now, we'll go over to his enemy first. That is the forces of Umbar, being commanded by Savage Paradox. He's got 2 units of Abraxanum Narduawib. Yeah, Narduawib. Something like that. These guys are quite good archers. They can't kill a lot of things, but because of their good armor and shield values, they can just outlast enemy archers for a long time. Over he's got a couple units of Corsair infantry backed up by some Corsairs. And behind him he's got all of his cavalry, which is 2 units of mercenary cavalry, as well as his general's unit of the Warlords of Umbar, who are a ferocious knight unit and can just do pretty much anything very, very well. You can see the general looking very nice in his armor. They look very similar to the Knights of Nunamas, and I must say I really do like the banners on their lances. And then he actually has a lot of hidden units as well. He's got 2 units of the Corsair Blackguards, which is a javelin unit. He's got 4 units of Castamir Chosen. These guys are kind of similar to units like the Lorien Blades. So they are actually kind of elite infantry, but they do cost a lot. I think they cost 850 florins, just like the Lorien Blades. But they are, of course, very good. Pretty much the only thing you have to worry about them with is getting surrounded, because they are somewhat low in numbers. In front of them, he's got 3 units of Belagir archers, and I'm pretty sure that just about does it for his army, but he also has some other, like, hidden units. Like, I think he has, like, some more Corsair infantry right here. Anyway, we'll now go over to the last army. That is the Kingdom of Arthedain, being commanded by Shokoludenis. He's got 1 unit of the Numinas Gate Guards, who are, of course, a very elite pike unit. He's got like 3 or 4 units of Arthedain pikemen, all with 1 armor upgrade. Without the armor upgrade, they do not actually have any plate armor at all. I think they only have like kind of like a tunic with chainmail. They kind of look like these Arthedain marksmen. Yeah, you can see he's just got an absolutely huge line of pikemen, which is going to be very, very difficult for me to take out, because Lorien really doesn't have any answer to pikes besides archers, and because I don't really have the that many archers, especially because my archers are lightly armored, I'm not going to be able to skirmish these guys down very quickly, at least until I begin the infantry fight. You can see another unit's pikeman right here. And for his archers, he's got 3 units of the Arthedain, just like standard heavy marksmen. He's got maybe 2 units, I think, of the Dundain Rangers hidden around here, as well as 1 unit of the Wardens of the North, who are right in front of these gate guards, hidden. And they are one of the 3 remaining AP archer units in the game. Behind them, or behind over here, he's also got some more hidden units, I believe, like 2 or 3 units of Even Dim Spearmen, which is like a low tier, like spear militia unit. He's got his general unit of the Dismounted Knights of Anuminas. You can see the general right there. They're basically just a Wardens of the White Tower for Arthedain. And he's got like 3 units of the Arthedain men-at-arms with both armor upgrades. And over here you can see some more Even Dim Spearmen. So that pretty much just about, well, yeah, that pretty much does it for the army compositions, and we will go ahead and begin the replay. Now, because, yeah. So you're going to see Isengard rush right away, which is not a bad idea, because he definitely does not have the skirmish advantage. But I think he's really going to have a tough time of it, mostly just because, or the fact that he did buy 2 Berserkers instead of just 1. But we'll see how that ends up working out for him. You can see his poor half-orc Vanguard going in first, going to get targeted by pretty much every single archer unit that Umbar has to offer. at the moment. I think even some of the Arthedain units are firing. You can see the Wardens of the North are actually firing at them. They're just really not having a very fun time. But you can see the body-piercing Dunedain Rangers also firing. Well, you can kind of see. Because of the trees, it is going to be somewhat difficult. I might end up just staying kind of low like this so we can actually see. But I actually do kind of like tree battles like this because it's really chaotic. And as you can probably see from the frames, this battle is not very long because it's just totally action-packed. And it is just going the entire time. It is just really, really nice. There's not too long of a skirmish phase either. Mostly because Isengard didn't really bring very many archers. And my archers do not have enough armor or numbers to compete with Arthedain, because Arthedain's got like 5 or 6 archers. In addition to his Arthedain marksman, I think he also has some Bender Breast archers right here. So we got some hobbits on the field. And you can see they're all currently targeting my 2 units of Lorien Mounted Company right here, who I'm trying to bring over. I was going to originally try to go after either the Dunedain Rangers or the Wardens of the North, but they actually went back into hiding, so I had to change targets and instead go after these Arthedain marksmen. But I do need to be careful of going a little bit too far and going straight into those Arthedain pikes. Let's see, I am going to just go ahead and leave my cavalry in the melee right here, because while they are lancers and they will take losses here, I think it would be an okay-ish trade. But over here you can see I actually went a little bit too far. My Lorien Mounted Company now getting caught out by some Arthedain pikemen is not going to be very good for me. You can see they're actually shaking right now and they're dropping very, very quickly, wavering. Oh yes, and they just instantly broke like that. I was so sad. But fortunately, because they do still have quite a few men in the unit, my general, and because my general is still alive, they will come back after a while. But that was kind of an unnecessary loss. I did take out some archers, but not nearly as many as I had hoped for. Over here, ooh, yeah, it looks like the Vanguard got here, but instantly just broke in the face of the archers and Castlemar's Chosen. Pikemen marching forward as well, but they're also just going to get shot to pieces. And behind them, he's just moving forward some more Uruk-hai infantry and things like that. Oh, and you can actually see a cavalry engagement is about to begin over here. You can see the Ward Riders and Chamber to White Hand about to go in after both of these units of mercenary cavalry. You're going to return the charge. But right here, the Isengard cavalry is going to be more than enough to just absolutely butcher those 2 units of mercenary cavalry. Meanwhile, over here, I have moved pretty much forward all of my infantry. You can see I have engaged the front line with a couple of my units. But again, I don't want to engage his whole pike line, because that is definitely going to work out in favor of him, because he's just going to be able to poke all my units to death, which you can see is already kind of happening. But I'm just trying to keep these couple units of pikes busy, because at the same time as I'm doing this, I'm bringing over my Maethar Elas Gelen to begin throwing their javelins at things like these pikes. Ooh, getting a brutal volley right there. And at the same time, I've gotten pretty much all of my other infantry, that being some Lorien axes and all 3 units of Lorien warriors over here around the back to just kind of surround him, because surrounding Arthedain right here is pretty much going to be the only way I'm going to be able to defeat his pike block. You can see he's bringing over some units to try to stop this surround, but my AP should serve me quite well here. You can actually see him bring over my cavalry around this wing as well, because if I'm able to get around here with my cavalry, I'm just going to be able to recharge his archers like crazy. Also, I do have my own archers around here somewhere firing, and I don't think he actually noticed that they were firing, so they've just been they were pretty much just able to fire unmolested the entire battle. I think they didn't take a single loss from the arrow fire. But you can see right here my Maethar Elas Gelen just taking an absolute hailstorm of arrows right here. The shield's really not going to be able to protect them from 5 units of archers firing at them all at the same time. Over here, though, that 1 unit of pikemen just completely melted by my javelins. I've got my cavalry back here charging around into the back lines, and I've just got all my infantry just running amok in the back lines of Arthedain. So I am going to be able to start the surround here, which is really going to be the only way I'm able to defeat the Arthedain pikes, because I don't have enough javelins to actually deal with all of the pike units that he does have. But being in my Lorien axes and warriors will do very well against the Arthedain men-at-arms, as well as the pikemen, as long as they're engaging them from behind. You can see my Maethar Elas Gelen marching forward as well. You can see my archers back there. Over here, though, I assume he just didn't notice that these pikes were just left alone, because I actually am going to begin skirmishing them down, these Numinos Gate Guards, as well as the Arthedain pikemen, and I'm also going to be returning the fire into things like the Dunedain Rangers, who are lightly armored, stuff like that. Over here, though, we'll take a look at what's going on with Isengard. Like I said, it was a very action-packed battle that was very quick. You can see the Uruk-hai pikemen getting surrounded on all sides by the Umbar forces. Over here are some berserkers, unsupported, not going to be able to be enough to take out very many of those Castlemar's Chosen. More Castlemar's Chosen marching around, going to outflank these Uruk-hai infantry and berserkers, who are actually doing okay against this unit of Castlemar's Chosen. And over here, just Isengard is really struggling. The Blackguard's now out of ammo after throwing their javelins with the front lines. Really the only situation that Isengard is doing okay was when they took out all of the Umbar cavalry except for the warlords right here. However, you can see he's kind of throwing away his unit of warbearers here against these corsairs. Yeah, things are not looking very good over here. And all this time, the Umbar archers are also firing like crazy. You can see my own archers starting to take their toll on these Arthedain pikemen and Numenor gate guards. The BP really going to help me out there. However, the Arthedain pikemen are quite well armored, so they're going to be able to weather those arrows quite well, but after a sustained amount of time, they are going to fall from that. Over here, Arthedain is trying to stem the tide of my advance around his flank, but already I'm starting to kind of go just around his sides here. He actually has had to commit his dismounted Knights of Numenor here to hold back my forces, but all around I've also just been able to kind of wipe away his first wave of troops. However, not without losses. I've taken quite a few losses, especially to the archer fire, and I am pretty much now out of ammo for all of my javelins except for the unit that has been pretty much shot to death. Now down to 25. So my archers have also just been firing the entire time, not even taking any return fire at all, which is working out very well for me because now I am now targeting the Arthedain marksmen and the other archers like that. I also have been rear charging him with my Lancer cavalry from behind. He actually has having to use a couple of his units of Evendim spearmen to just kind of sit here to protect his flanks from my cavalry. I've also got my general's unit of Galadrim riders over here firing at some of the units from behind. I believe that might be Arthedain now down to half of the forces remaining. You can see actually a little bit of breaking right there from Arthedain, so looking pretty good for me so far. I am definitely starting to kind of just fold around his lines here. Surprisingly, no cavalry at all from Arthedain, actually. And over here, you can see that my archers have just taken an absolutely horrendous toll on the Arthedain pikemen. Gate guards now down to 81, and this other unit of standard pikes down to 61. But we should take a look over here at what's going on with Isengard, because Isengard is really struggling right now. You can see a lot of Umbar units just kind of standing around victorious, getting shot a little bit by some units, and you can actually see some of the Champions of the White Hand doing a good job at charging through some of these units. But again, they are a melee cav, so they do have a lower charge than most other cavalry units. Ooh, Blackguard's trying to chase after them, but not going to be swift enough. However, they will be able to get after these Uruk-hai archers who are actually wavering. Ah, can't see anything. Yeah, all across. Looks like actually a lot of the archers of Umbar are now out of ammo. He's committing them to melee, but that's really not going to be very much of an issue for him because he has pretty much completely defeated his enemy. Over here, you can see the pikemen, after having been shot, are being committed to the fight, going to kind of try to surround me. But I do have a couple units of archers that are now out of ammo, so I'm going to be able to slow down those pikes for long enough for my infantry to really get into a better position. You can actually already see Evendim spearmen now being committed to the melee against some of my own infantry. But all across, I've just pretty much won this whole engagement here on the flank, and I am going to be able to continue surrounding these couple units of pikes that are still holding the line. You can actually see that Arthedain is actually doing a full retreat with most of his units, most of his archers as well as his general's unit right here of the dismounted Knights of Numenor. He is actually retreating all of his units back here to his ally Umbar to give him some support because he does not want to have all of his units killed off. You can see he's actually retreated a lot of his units, and I was kind of unhappy about this, but again, I don't really blame him because it's not not very fun to have like no units at the end of a battle. But anyway, actually my second unit of Edhil Tirith has been able to stop these dismounted Knights of Numenor in their trek. Yes, they have indeed been able to do so. So I'm trying to take out his general here, because if I am able to take out his general, then that will allow me to pretty much break all of his lines right here. You can see Evendim spearmen shaken, but they are about to outflank my Lorien axes right here. So I'm going to have to commit another unit of Lorien axes against them, and the Lorien axes will be more than enough to deal with these Evendim spearmen. The spearmen will be able to hold on for a decent amount of time, but they will definitely be overwhelmed eventually. Evendim spearmen all in shield wall, just trying to hold for as long as they can. I believe most of my Lancer cavalry has been taken out by now. I think I only have like one unit that's at 15 and one unit that's at like 6. But again, it has just been recharging the whole time. I've also got my general's unit still alive. Yes, here you can see my lances charging straight into those dismounted Knights of Numenor. Unfortunately, not taking out. Oh, take it back. They did take out the general, not on the charge. But they were able to take him out. Dismounted Knights of Numenor now down to 14. But back here, yeah, Isengard has just been completely wiped from the battle. Umbar is just trying to reform the lines along with Arthedain. You can see he's going to begin marching forward, and it's not looking very good for me at the moment, especially because I'm all out of ammo, and I am running low on cavalry. I still do have a decent amount of infantry, and with the loss of that general, you can see a ton of the Arthedain units shaken, so a rear charge or for my cavalry or anything like that will probably break these units. You can see my Galadrim Riders actually here in melee against the Evendim Spearmen. I did not mean to leave them in melee there for that long, but they actually are unfortunately going to be stuck there for a while. Over here you can see Umbar beginning to begin the fight against me. You can see my Edeltirith going to get charged by some Beligir archers, who will be able to take out my Edeltirith after a while. My Edeltirith should be able to hold for a decent amount of time. Rear charge from the Lorien Mounted Company, breaking the Evendim Spearmen and breaking these Arthedain Pikemen who didn't even get rear charged. So just like that, that's pretty much going to be the end of Arthedain's infantry. He still does have a decent amount of archers left, but really what is going to be hard for me is all of the infantry of Umbar. There's actually still 120 Evendim Spearmen right there, but they're going to take a rear charge from my Galadrim Riders right now. And the Galadrim Riders don't have a very good charge because they are not a Lancer Cav. But again, any cavalry will still do okay off the charge. You can see it actually made the Evendim Spearmen waver. AP of my Lorien Warriors isn't going to do too well against these Evendim Spearmen, but the combined forces of my troops here was able to break that unit. And now I'm going to have to pretty much instantaneously begin the fight again against Umbar and what's left of Arthedain. You can see I've committed another unit of Edeltirith right here. So all my archers are now in the melee. And I don't want to leave these guys out here just to get surrounded and cut down. So I am going to pretty much rush forward all of my remaining infantry and just hope that I have enough to actually be able to take out Umbar. Now, really what I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to protect my general at all costs. If I lose my general, then it's going to pretty much be game over because all my infantry will not have enough morale to actually fight for long enough, especially because I am heavily outnumbered. What I'm going to have to do is keep my general alive and just rear charge as much as possible. You can actually see some Wardens of the North about to be committed into the melee, and they are very good in melee at that, so it's not looking very good for me at all. Lorien Warriors and all my other units just going to be committed in melee here. Casimir's chosen outflanking my warriors here, but then in turn going to get outflanked by some more of my infantry. So, surprisingly, I actually was able to set up a half-decent line. I was actually rather surprised by this, especially considering I didn't have that much infantry left over. But it's still not looking very good for me just because of the sheer amount of numbers that Umbar has left over. Especially these, there's still a lot of the Casimir's chosen who are quite elite. Where you can see my Sylvan Staff Masters are having to be committed over here against my Courser Blackguards, and right here, the remaining warlords of Umbar are in a full fight against my Mounted Lorien Company as well as my Generals and Galadrim Riders. Now the reason, so at the same instant, pretty much, my general died. I was able to take out Umbar's general. Now the reason for this fight was the warlords were actually going after my Galadrim Riders, so I did turn them about to face the warlords of Umbar, and at the same time I rear charged the warlords with my lances. So there was a fight that I would definitely take. You can see the warlords are now down to 18. I'm just recharging these blackguards now and trying to slow down the warlords with my remaining lancer cavalry. Warlords now actually down to 12. I've also got some spears right here who are in that fight as well. They're actually tossing their javelins now at the warlords of Umbar, who are cutting down the last of my lancer cavalry. Oh, all the trees getting a little bit annoying, but as you right now you can see Savage Paradox still has a lot of infantry left over. He's got some Corsair infantry that is very healthy, now going around the flank, and is going to be able to just completely wrap around my poor forces that have been fighting for so long, first against Arthedain, now against the great numbers of Umbar. I do have some Staff Masters that I will be able to commit elsewhere, but it's just going to be a very close battle. Warlords now down to 4. So they're pretty much not going to be an issue for me anymore. I do think I might chase them down with my Mesa Relas going. But now I'm just going to try to recharge with my Galadrim Riders. But you can see the loss of my general and the flanking troops really not doing too good. Really not being good for my troops' morale. Some of my archers actually breaking there. Definitely not what I need. Trying to rear charge the Corsair infantry with my Galadrim Riders, but they're taking some skirmishing fire. And now the Corsair infantry is going to charge straight into the back of my Lorien Axes and Sylvan Staff Masters. Staff Masters actually don't seem to mind that too much, but the Lorien Axes definitely do not like that at all, and they're actually thinking about routing. So I'm trying to help out my troops here. but it's really not going to be enough. It's definitely going to be a break here because of the loss of my general. Yep, there go the Lorien axes. There's some warriors I think broken as well. Yes. So just like that, this whole flank of my infantry has been broken, and that's pretty much going to be the end of the battle, because you can already see my numbers have thinned quite quickly. I was able to do okay, I guess, against Umbar, but I just really didn't have enough units left over to deal with what he had. I can see just breaking all across the board here. Umbar infantry just breaking through my very thin lines. And we'll watch the rest of this fight here, but for the most part, it's just going to be my troops trying to hold back the tide of forces, and then it'll end kind of just with my cavalry just trying to get charges off. Still, it was a very interesting battle. It was definitely fun. I liked it because it was very fast paced. It didn't have like an insanely long skirmish phase or cavalry phase or anything like that. So I always am happy when there's really aggressive battles like this. Lorien Axe is actually holding on pretty well, but they are now wavering because of these flanking forces. It's actually some... oh, that's a war to the north. I thought that was a dismounted. Ah, yeah, there go my troops all routing now, so pretty much the only thing I have left are my 17 Galadrim Riders, who are just going to cycle charge until they do end up dying. But again, it was a very bloody fight. Again, it's going to be... It was... I think definitely I would have lost against Arthedain had he brought any cavalry, just because Lorien doesn't have very much cavalry anyways. And I think if he was able to skirmish down my archers like he was my javelins right here, I definitely would have lost, because it's not going to be very common to be able to actually surround enemies with elves. I definitely think that the trees actually helped me out here, because he didn't really notice where my units were or how many of them actually I did have. So I think it was just a very interesting fight. I can see my Galadrim Riders actually thinking about routing for a second there, but now they're going to regain their morale. And I think we'll just go ahead and speed it up. So yeah, not a very long video, but again, I did enjoy the actual battle. It was fun to play. I'm just going to continuously cycle charge. And then I kept charging into Umbar, but then I realized that Arthedain actually did have some archers left over. So I actually decided to actually try to go after them. And I think I butchered these poor Banderbrass archers in a bit here, because I think they're going off by themselves, and they're about to just get absolutely wasted by my cavalry here. So these hobbits are not going to be able to go back to the Shire. Yeah, just absolutely destroyed right there. But I'm just going to go ahead and leave my cavalry in there, because there's really no chance of me to win. But anyway, yeah, a very cool battle. I was able to get the most kills. I got 3,200 kills, and actually surprisingly got the most prisoners as well. Donovan getting 1,100 kills. Savage Paradox doing very well for his team, getting 1,915 kills as well as close to 500 prisoners. And Arthedain getting 1,026 kills. Sorry. Anyway, take a quick look at the exact kills. Galadrim Riders getting 498 kills, so very well worth the cost. Both my other units of cavalry did good as well. My Maethar Elas Gellin, one unit did very good, but the other unit was the one that got just shot to death by like 5 units of archers at the same time. All of my infantry actually did very well. My Lorien Axes getting 266, 264, and 217. Edeltirith getting 212, 220, and 275. Staff Masters doing their job. You know, they're not going to get a great amount of kills because they are just there to kind of slow down the enemy. Also, all 3 of my AP units, the Lorien Warriors, doing very well. Also, getting 147, 118, and 256 kills. So yes, a very nice battle. If you guys did enjoy, please comment, like, and subscribe. If you did not, just tell me what I did wrong, and I'll be sure to fix it for the next video. So farewell wherever you fare, till your eyes receive you at your journey's end.